Back to another edition of Focus on Arts. I'm your host, Patrick Van Slyke. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have a really interesting guy with us. Manny, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Patrick.
It's a pleasure to meet you now. Tell me once again your last name.
Pelayo.
Pelayo. And that's what nationality?
It comes from Spain.
Oh, okay.
Like my family's background, it's from Spain, from my grandmother and behind.
Okay.
It's from Spain.
Okay.
But I was born in Mexico and raised in Mexico.
Oh, okay, great. Now, we have a mutual friend, Stephen Whitrock.
Yep.
And he said that I should bring you on and interview you because you are becoming a composer. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm pursuing that career right now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And you're going to Cal State, or you're going to UCLA, right?
UCLA Extension. I'm taking the film scoring certificate there.
Okay.
Which has been a great experience. I have learned a lot about music.
And how long of a school or a program is that?
It's a one-year program.
Okay, 1
year.
But
you can divide it in 3 years. You have like maximum 3 years to complete it.
Oh, I see.
But if you take it like full units every quarter, you finished it in 1 year.
Okay. Now and that's for scoring films.
Yeah.
Okay, so films and videos and
it's focused on film. There's also some stuff on commercial music and some video game approaches as well. So you got like a whole variety, but it's mainly like composing for picture.
Oh, wow. Okay, very cool. Now, do they, is there like assistance when you get done helping you to try to like find work, or is that like when we're done, we're just on our own, you know, and we have to?
No, there's a lot of opportunities. You get actually the guys in charge of the entertainment school there. They're very frequently sending emails about internship opportunities on record labels or production companies.
Oh, wow.
And it's for all the entertainment school studies.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of support on that.
Oh,
they also like give you advice on how to prepare your CV and your resume.
Oh, yeah.
And cover letters and stuff. There's a lot of support on that, and the networking that you can build there, it's really good.
Now, is all of that done? The music that you're creating, is all that done electronically?
In some parts, yeah, because you learn like composing electronically with orchestra samples and virtual instruments. But at the same time, there are other classes that you're composing for a small orchestra.
Oh, wow.
So we actually have the opportunity to write a score, and then we go to a studio.
Oh my God.
And the musicians come in and they play your music like from the score. So that's like a great experience. You get to talk to the musicians, and you learn from them.
Yeah,
so
get
it's
feedback.
a great experience.
So have you always been you're then a musician at heart? Is that right?
Yeah, I've been passionate about music since I was little.
Okay.
But I come from a very different world. I used to be a financial analyst.
Oh my God!
I actually went to school for a finance degree. I have a bachelor's in finance first.
Oh, okay.
But I've been making music since I was like 15 years old.
Oh, okay.
But before coming to LA, everything that I knew was self-taught and by reading books.
Oh, I see.
And it made a huge difference when I came here to actually like properly studying music and discovering that world. It's been amazing.
Did you start with a single instrument, like a guitar or something?
Yeah, I started with guitar when I was 15, actually.
Oh, wow. So not actually that long.
No.
Okay.
It's 15, and then I moved to piano. I play a little bit of piano as well.
Okay.
So it's...
And so then, at that point, did you know how to read music, or were you just sort of learning by doing?
I knew because in elementary school we were taught, so I had an idea on how scores worked.
Okay.
But I never practiced it. And it's like, if you don't practice it, you lose it. So I could figure it out a score, but it will take me a bunch of time to figure it out completely.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something, a skill that I I'm still developing, but I developed it a lot like by going to this film scoring certificate. Right now I can understand a score and actually like know all the stuff that is going on.
You know, I've always been fascinated by people that could write for an orchestra, because I could understand writing a song for to play on the guitar. Mm-hmm. You know, you've got vocals and you've got the guitar and you've got the rhythm, you know, and all of that. But to actually take all of the different instruments and put them into a specific order so that it created a sound, do you start with a sound in your mind that you want to put together and then add the instruments as it comes in? Or what's your method of causing that to happen?
Usually what I do, I compose the whole piece on piano.
Oh, okay.
And then based on the piano and on the ranges that I'm using on the piano, I will divide those with the notes of the piano in between the orchestra instruments.
I see.
And being aware of the ranges. If it's like a very high range, probably, I don't know, a violin will be good. If it's like depending on the color or texture that you want to achieve.
Right.
You make combinations in between woodwinds, strings, and brass.
Oh, okay.
And it's very interesting, like all the different combinations that you can make.
Oh,
and
sure.
Who you give the melody to, and if you want more people, if you want the melody to sing out more, you put more musicians or more players on the melody.
Oh, I see.
But usually what I do is I write first on piano, and then I divide.
I see.
All the piano notes in between the instruments.
Oh,
that's like orchestration.
That is really interesting.
Step.
I always wondered how they did that, if they just sat down and said, okay, I'll write the cello, and then, you know.
That's a different approach too. I mean, there's people that still write by hand.
Yeah.
And by paper and pen,
my gosh,
which is an incredible skill, I think.
Yeah, it would be.
And they write like that, and they're able to write for each instrument by itself.
Wow. That's incredible. Now, once you've got the piano scored, do you write the music for the other instruments, or is it generated somehow?
Since it's in computer right now, in the DAW that I'm working, I just divide the notes.
Okay.
And then I go like instrument by instrument to make sure that the notes are on the range of the instrument.
I see.
That there is nothing weird going on the melody or rhythm, so that a real musician can play.
Right.
Because on the computer you can do crazy stuff that maybe a musician will be.
Right.
Like it will be tough for a musician. So I just go one by one, making sure that everything is on range. And sometimes you actually have to keep in mind that on the computer it might sound good.
Yes.
But when it's live, because of the interaction of the vibration of the instruments, it creates something that the computer cannot.
Right.
So it gives a little different texture.
Sure.
So you have to keep in mind that as well, like ranges and different techniques for the instruments that maybe a computer cannot like recreate it that well.
I understand.
So it's keeping in mind all that,
sure,
technicalities of the instrument, which is incredible.
How did you go from playing a guitar and a piano to saying, you know what, I want to compose? Was that something that was just a natural progression, or is that something that one day just, you know what, I really want to put this all together?
I started with the guitar because that was the instrument that was like more available to me. So I started like that, and I started with songwriting. Okay. And then since I was little, I have a big interest on instrumental music. Okay. And in my house back home in Mexico, there has been a piano since I remember, since I was born. Okay. But nobody played it. Oh my God. No one in my family played it, and it's been there like sitting and just by itself. And then one day I said like, okay, nobody plays this. I like music, so let's try to play the piano. Right. And then I realized that it's easier for me to compose on a piano since you have a wider range. Oh yeah. So you have like 88 keys, and you cover pretty much like all the ranges of every instrument. Okay. Just the harp is the only one that it's way bigger. Oh my goodness. And you got like more versatility
yes.
than with a guitar.
Right.
Well, at least for me, because I'm just like a very average guitar player. So it takes me a little bit more to compose on a guitar than on a piano.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So then you started composing on the piano, and then what made you decide to make the leap to, you know what, I want to add a bunch of other instruments. I want to be a composer.
When I started discovering the world of DAWs and working on a computer to produce music,
I see.
I realized that world is the one that gives you the availability to add strings or even electronic sounds.
Yeah.
So you have like a wider color palette.
Yes.
To make your painting kind of.
For sure.
So that's how I discovered that world.
Okay.
And being a composer, since it transformed from being a songwriter to being a composer, since I just kept thinking like I like songwriting, but I don't really, like I'm not like a show person, like I will stand on stage and sing.
Okay.
I'd rather be backstage.
Yeah.
So that's like a composer would do, right?
Right.
And since I, like I said, like I enjoyed a lot instrumental music since I was little, from video games and movies.
Right.
And I said like, okay, let's move into this area of the music industry, which I think it's great, and getting to work with the orchestra instruments, it's been a great experience, and learning like about classical music and how those great composers from the past developed their skill.
Right.
And basically like all the music that we know right now comes from there. So
right.
It's like going to the root of the source.
You know, I don't think that a lot of people really think about composers as much maybe as they did, you know, before TV and all, you know, all of these other mediums came in. Are there a lot of other composers or people at your school that are trying to do what you're doing, or is it a, you know, sort of a close-knit group?
No, it's highly competitive.
Really?
There's a lot of people wanting to be a composer for video games, TV, or films.
Yeah.
It's highly competitive.
Oh my
and
gosh.
So like you have to have like a very high dedication for it, and keep studying, because if you're not developing your skills, somebody else somewhere else is doing that, so it's gonna head ahead of you.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's competitive but collaborative at the same point. Like everyone, it's very inclusive, and very open to talk about orchestration techniques, compositional techniques.
I see.
So it's like it's highly competitive, but at the same time it's welcoming with everyone. So that's a bright side.
Do you have how are the teachers?
They're great.
They are.
I have learned a lot. I had the opportunity to be a student of Robert Drasnin.
Okay.
He passed away not a short time ago. And he was a great composer for TV and films on the 80s.
Oh, okay.
He composed the Twilight Zone music from the old show, not the new one.
Right.
And he was great composer and orchestrator. It was incredible. The musicians that we had the chance to record in his class said like, we love playing his music.
Oh, that's so cool.
And there's other teachers that are great on orchestration. You get a lot of the insight on how the job is done.
Okay.
Not only like composing, it's also preparing your files to send to the engineer on the studio.
Yeah. And
preparing scores for the musician, that they are written in the correct way so that the musician can interpret them correctly. So and all the teachers are highly supportive with students. If you reach to them, they're super open to talk.
Oh, okay.
There is also Jonathan Merrill. He's a teacher of conducting.
Oh, okay.
Which you also get to explore that world of conducting an orchestra.
Okay.
Which it was amazing. One of the best things I ever done in my life.
Oh, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's incredible. I totally ignored that skill of conducting an orchestra, and it's incredible to get to know what the conductor is doing up there. It's like playing an instrument, but it doesn't make a sound. The musicians are the one making the sound.
So, is there a lot of I know that there's a lot of people that are doing it. Was there hoops that you had to jump through to get into the or the UCLA program, or was it just a matter of signing up, or did you have to supply, like a reel or something like that?
No, it's just signing up for the program. But they do advise that if you don't have like any previous musical studies, they advise you to take 2 like requirements, which is like music notation and harmony.
Oh, okay.
Which, if you don't have any musical studies from the background, it totally helps.
Yeah.
And if you have previous musical background, you can skip those classes and then just keep up with the program.
Move in. How many original scores have you put together, would you say? Just an estimate.
So far, I mean, I'm working so far on an album, but that it's going to be an instrumental album.
Okay.
It's going to be 5 songs in it.
Oh, wow.
And I have done a student short film from back home and an iOS game.
Oh.
And I mean, I still have these ideas, but they're like on my hard drive waiting to be picked by someone. So just writing every day to make the library bigger.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's really cool. Well, I really want to thank you for being on with us. I'm wondering if maybe at some point in the future we couldn't bring in like a laptop with some of your work on it and maybe hear some of it and allow some of our viewers to actually sort of get into what you really do. I think that would be very interesting if you'd be willing to come back and maybe take us in a little bit deeper to what you do. Yeah,
that would be great. I would love to come back. And actually, Steve told me, like, bring a flash drive with your music. Right. So if you want it, I have it right here.
Oh, okay. All right. Then what we'll do is I'll download some of it and then we'll put it in at the end of the show. And then what I'll do is I'll put your name and information, and that way if any of the viewers want to get a hold of you, they'll be able to get a hold of you and talk more about it.
Great, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be great.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Patrick,
for having me. It was really a pleasure to meet you. And I want to thank you again for joining us on Focus on Arts. Again, I'm your host, Patrick Van Slyke. And until next time, be well. Thank you.